In this farming business, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar business, you have to analyze what you're going to do. If you put an order in for seed and there's a glut or no money to be made, then you're not spending your dollars wisely.
I decided to start growing soybeans when it was during Christmas tree season. A farmer to the south of us passed away in Shelby, and then we were going to buy land from them. They came over and they said they had, tractors and a combine for sale. Well, I was interested in combining because I went up to Canada and did it, and I came home and I really liked combining and I wanted to get into it. So I decided to buy some seed. I planted, 60 acres, and then I bought this John Deere.
Well, Caleb, first of all, is a grandson, a young man that's entirely intrigued by the farming industry. Mainly the bigger, the more awesome, the more complicated the equipment, the better he likes it.
Since the day he could talk, his first word was tractor, and he's just been nothing but wanting to work on the farm. And well, he graduated 2 years ago, and we bought a tractor with GPS, auto steer, the whole works on it, and he really took to it and he knew about it.
There's very little hands-on clutch shifting, pounding with a crescent wrench type equipment that you have anymore. The alternative that he's also facing is going into crops that we haven't experienced before. So it's quite an interesting challenge for him. He's taking on new equipment that none of us have seen or operated before, going into a crop level that none of us are familiar with or comfortable with. So he's on his own on a lot of aspects.
I looked at the markets, I've done research. Cherry market just doesn't seem like it's going to go up. Soybeans are at an all-time high. They're going to keep going up.
The market for soybeans was a lot better than what corn or anything was, and soybeans was pretty easy, so we had some open ground, so we decided, or he brought to us and just said, this is what I want to do, can I do this? And we ran the numbers and figured that he can do it.
He's going into cash crops. Cash crop, you plant it in spring or fall and you harvest it the following summer or following months. Harvesting is a completion of that crop versus what we have dealt with in a cherry field. It's 8 years before you get a harvest.
Dad's on board. He thinks it's a good thing. Grandpa's still a little iffy on it. He thinks we'd rather stick with cherries and apples. But I think once he sees, profits and loss of profits, then he'll really start to change his mind.
For him to succeed in soybeans is going to be great, but it'll never take over from what we have because we have so many acres planted, and you just can't put a cherry tree in this year and decide to take it out 2 years from now. You have a huge investment.
Cherry's built this farm, Christmas trees built the farm, so he thinks they can be sustained on it, but I don't think so. It's change is going to have to come.
If the market is there, he would have no problem with it. But let's say that he goes ahead and decides to plant and there's drought. The yield is going to be zip. His costs are going to go extremely high because you still have to run the machine. Then he has to make the decision, and that's where hopefully his input from myself, from his father, will say, hey, if you don't have a good solid market for these soybeans, don't plant it. Just because you've got a machine doesn't mean you got to drive it.
I mean, this machine costs $50,000 compared to $250,000 to a shaker. And I mean, the soybean seed did 60 acres on $4,000 compared to $100,000 planting an orchard. I mean, it's just, you get paid right away. It's way better.
He had a really nice truck. He sold his truck and put a nice down payment on a combine, and we figured that he can do it. So he did it this year, and he did good. So I'm looking forward to next year. He's wanting to plant a few more, and we'll see what that comes.
I was told I would hit 25 bushels to the acre, which is bad. I hit 42 to 50 on my first harvest, so that was huge. I'm super happy about that. Most of my beans were on first year ground, which it's all making its own nitrogen and it doesn't have anything to go off of. So it really came along as what I wanted.
.5% of the income for this farm is generated by asparagus, by tart cherries and apples and Christmas trees. His income from this year is about 0.4%. Obviously, this is his first attempt and the first thing. You got to start somewhere. That's better than zero.
I just think how fortunate we are to live in the spot where we are. We're right on the lake. We have the beach over there and our farm right here. We have good ground for growing Christmas trees and asparagus, and it just makes me happy. Makes me happy to see this.